worked on supporting what was a bipartisan effort, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress, to actually strengthen the border.
Can't fucking stand that commie bitch. Fucked and sucked her way to the top.
What we do here is go back.
That was actually fucking hard.
Hey yo, what is up gamers? Welcome to my new series, Politics Police. This is basically going to be a ripoff of iDubbbz's Content Cop, except instead of criticizing content creators for making cringe content, we're going to be criticizing political commentators for having cringe politics. iDubbbz has denounced the Content Cop series as bigoted and bullying.
Anyone who thinks that I should be shouting the N-word from the rooftops, I don't want to be your cup of tea.
And deleted it from YouTube, so I feel no guilt in shamelessly stealing his intellectual property. And today we're going to be talking about Elon Musk. You may have heard of him, the richest man in the world. You may be thinking, what, Elon Musk? He's not really a political commentator. Well, you'd be wrong. Elon has been dipping his toe more and more into politics, as we're going to get into. He was probably one of the most influential people in terms of having control over political discourse in America and throughout the world. So we're going to be getting into all that. We're mainly going to be focusing on Elon Musk's handling of his website, twitter.com, now referred to as xvideos.com. I'm going to give you guys the full picture, the full saga of Elon Musk and Twitter, starting from the beginning. We're going to go back. What we do here is go back. Back in the day, Elon used to be pretty beloved by people on the left for his work with Tesla and EVs. He used to be really loved by Reddit, the Reddit audience, because he admitted to liking catgirl hentai. But almost overnight, Elon became the darling of the right wing when he posted this meme to Twitter. This meme is pretty retarded for a few reasons. If you look back at the Republican Party and the previous people they have chosen as candidates, you had Mitt Romney in 2012, John McCain in 2008, George Bush in 2000 and 2004. All three of these people are now considered to be rhino cucks by the modern day MAGA Republican Party.
He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured, okay? I hate to tell you.
So this idea that the Republican Party has just stayed the same since 2008 and they haven't shifted at all to the right whatsoever, just pretty ridiculous on its face. This is a cringe meme, but this meme really made Elon beloved by MAGA conservatives overnight. Ever since then, he started this kind of grift to the right wing, which we will go over. Not too long after posting this meme, he started showing serious interest in acquiring Twitter. He was very clear about his reasons for wanting to acquire Twitter. He was concerned with partisan bias on Twitter under Jack Dorsey. He thought they were censoring too much right-wing speech.
By early 2022, a new ingredient had been added to this combustible cauldron. Musk's swelling concern with the dangers of the woke mind virus that he believed was infecting America. He disdained Donald Trump, but he felt it was absurd to ban permanently a former president. And he became increasingly riled up by complaints from those on the right who were being suppressed on Twitter. He saw the direction Twitter was heading, which was that if you were on the wrong end of the spectrum, you were censored, says Burkle. His view of free speech was that the more there was, the better it would be for democracy. At one point in March, he conducted a poll on Twitter. Free speech is essential to a functioning democracy. Do you believe Twitter rigorously adheres to this principle? When more than 70% answered no, Musk posed another question. Is a new platform needed?
He was upset about them banning Donald Trump's account after January 6th. He was upset about them banning links to the New York Post Hunter Biden laptop article. He wanted to make it a free speech platform. He referred to himself as a free speech absolutist, and he stated that he wanted to have basically no restrictions on speech on Twitter outside of legal restrictions.
He repeated his simple view that it would be good for democracy if Twitter stopped trying to restrict what users could say. Twitter has to move more in the direction of free speech, at least as defined by the law, he said. Right now, Twitter's suppression of speech is far in excess of the law.
He has repeatedly said over and over since acquiring Twitter, I will allow people to say whatever they want as long as they're not violating the law. At the time he was saying a lot of these things, I was very excited for him to acquire Twitter. I've struggled personally with bans on various social media accounts for satirical videos. This very YouTube channel was deleted at the time for a hate speech violation for a satirical video. So I was genuinely excited that we might actually get the free speech platform. All these things Elon was saying, I was really jiving with. I myself would also identify as a free speech absolutist. If I ran Twitter, I would run it exactly how Elon was describing. Just let it be a modern day town square where people are free to say whatever they want. But I very quickly realized that Elon was full of shit, and he doesn't actually believe in any of the things he claims to believe in. In early December of 2022, only about a month after Elon had acquired Twitter, Elon suspended Kanye West's account for posting this tweet. It was a cross between the Star of David and a swastika, basically insinuating that Zionists are the modern day Nazis or something like that. This was when Kanye was going through his whole Nazi phase type thing.
He had a really cool outfit and stuff, and he was a really good architect. And so you're in love with the look of it. And he didn't kill 6 million Jews. That's just factually incorrect.
It's kind of funny that the left, was canceling Kanye over this post at the time, when if he had posted this today, that half the left would probably be retweeting it. But yeah, whether you agree with this post or not, I personally, don't agree with it. I find it pretty disgusting. This is definitely Kanye's free speech to say this. There's no law against depicting swastikas or comparing Zionists to Nazis. As much as it may be abhorrent or cringe or whatever, it is his free speech right to do so. So I realized almost immediately that Elon doesn't actually have any, principled belief in free speech. Elon later defended this ban, saying that Kanye was inciting violence or something, which is just blatantly not true. Just posting a swastika does not qualify as inciting violence. That's not how the law works. Kanye was banned for over 6 months for doing this post. Then in January, shortly after this, Elon banned Nick Fuentes after unbanning him for only 1 day. If you're not familiar with Nick Fuentes, he's another one of these kind of neo-Nazi type guys. He's one of the people that radicalized Kanye into believing all this weird Hitler stuff. And Elon banned him again after he started saying some anti-Semitic stuff on Twitter. But again, being anti-Semitic is not illegal. That's still your free speech right to say anti-Semitic stuff, even if you may disagree with it. So Elon continues to show this pattern of not really valuing free speech. He also repeatedly refused to unban Alex Jones from Twitter, stating that he has no sympathy for people that use dead children for fame, in reference to Alex Jones' handling of the Sandy Hook massacre.
Sandy Hook is a synthetic, completely fake, with actors, in my view, manufactured.
Which, again, I thought you were a free speech absolutist, Elon. What is going on? Now, you may be thinking, oh, but Porcupine, he unbanned Alex Jones. He's pro-free speech now. He admitted his ways were wrong. No, he only unbanned Alex Jones because he did a Twitter poll and majority of people voted for him to unban Alex Jones. This runs totally counter to the whole reason free speech was created in the first place. Free speech was created to allow for unpopular speech. Popular speech doesn't really need protection because it's popular. So if you're only allowing accounts that a majority of your users want to be unbanned, then that's not free speech. That's just mob rule. Another thing to note as well is that political speech is the most important type of speech protected by the First Amendment. That's the type of speech that is granted the most protection. So all of these political bans for people saying anti-Semitic stuff, Kanye posting anti-Zionist stuff, Alex Jones saying things about Sandy Hook being a conspiracy, this is all a political speech that Elon is silencing. Another big moment where Elon illustrated he doesn't care about free speech at all was this deal he made with Don Lemon. After Don Lemon was fired from CNN, Elon made a deal with him to have an exclusive show on Twitter, the Don Lemon Show. He specifically made this deal because he wanted to promote, having people from different viewpoints on Twitter, not just conservative viewpoints. And the show was canceled after one episode because Elon was going to be the first guest star on the show. And I assume Elon thought this was going to be some big puff piece where Don Lemon just, opens his throat and just takes Elon, just balls deep, just all the way in his throat. But it didn't go that way. It was actually a tough interview. Don Lemon asked him a lot of pretty brutal questions. I didn't even really agree with a lot of the stuff Don Lemon was saying in the episode.
The Great Replacement Theory is a neo-Nazi trope. It's in the neo-Nazi manifesto. It's in the Turner Diaries. It's referenced by the Buffalo mass shooter in his manifesto where 10 people, black people were murdered in Buffalo. It's the actual title of the Christchurch Shooters Manifesto. 51 people in the Muslim mosque were murdered, 23 people murdered in El Paso by a shooter who used the same language that you use in that manifesto when you say Hispanic invasion. Is that not?
I didn't say an Hispanic invasion.
And you quoted a tweet that called it a Hispanic invasion.
If I quote something, it doesn't mean I agree with everything in it. It's just something that I think this is something worth people should consider.
I honestly agreed with Elon more in the interview, but immediately after this interview, Don Lemon was kaput. He was fired. Again, illustrates Elon doesn't actually care about differing viewpoints and people challenging his point of view. He just wants people that are gonna jerk his little dick off. And if you don't, your show's getting canceled. Elon started to get particularly egregious with the censorship in July of 2023. When he seemingly just started to ban words and phrases that he doesn't like. On June 20th, 2023, Twitter user James Esses posted a tweet. He posted a tweet basically talking about how he doesn't really agree with the use of the term cisgender and he would prefer not to be called that. If you're not familiar with the term cisgender, it's basically meant to be the opposite of transgender, whereas trans means you're born one gender and wants to transition into a different gender. Cisgender just means you're a normal person who doesn't want to change their gender at all. It's kind of similar to how the word straight was created to be the opposite of gay. And this Twitter user basically said that he doesn't like to be called this word, and he posted a tweet about it. And after he posted this, people started calling him cisgender and sissy in the comments just to annoy him. Elon responded to this person's message saying, quote, repeated targeted harassment against any account will cause the harassing accounts to receive, at minimum, temporary suspensions. The words cis or cisgender are considered slurs on this platform. Yikes. This is just retarded. Cisgender is just a descriptive term to describe someone that is not transgender. The idea that it's a slur is dubious at best. Just because people use a word as an insult does not then make that word a slur. People use the term gay as an insult all the time. You can't go to any middle school in the world without you seeing children calling each other gay as an insult.
Is that right? What are you, fucking gay?
People use the term Jew as an insult. You're a dirty Jew. People use all types of things as an insult. It doesn't mean the word itself is a slur. And even if the word is a slur, that doesn't mean it needs to be banned. You have the free speech right to use slurs on the internet if you want to. You can just ask my favorite YouTuber, iDubbbz. Say Nick. After this, if you use the term cisgender in a reply, it would flag your post as possibly violating Twitter's terms of service and limit the amount of people that can see your post. Just very cringe and blatantly not free speech. Again, you'll see a pattern here is that Elon doesn't believe in free speech. In fact, he believes in the opposite of free speech. Another anti-free speech policy that Elon implemented that you may not have heard of is he actually reinstated a misgendering ban. There was a ban on misgendering during Twitter when Jack Dorsey was running things, and Elon recently chose to reinstate it in March of this year. Basically, with this rule, if you have a transgender person, let's say that was born male and then later switches to female, identifies as female, repeatedly referring to them as a man or he, can get you banned on Twitter. Elon defended this policy, stating, "This is just about repeated targeted harassment of a particular person." But again, the very idea that misgendering counts as harassment, half the country doesn't even believe in that. Half the country doesn't believe in transgenderism or that you can change your gender or whatever. So saying that someone can't repeatedly refer to someone as a man if they truly believe that that person is a man is stifling their free speech, regardless what your opinion on transgenderism is. Now, another thing that Elon fans love to say is that Elon, he doesn't care about the advertisers, man. He's not in this for the money. You may have heard this rumor that, oh, Elon, he told the advertisers that they can go fuck themselves. He doesn't care about advertisers. This narrative that Elon doesn't care about the advertisers is completely and totally fucking false. The actual truth of the, go fuck yourselves advertisers story is a lot different than people have presented it. This all started because of a post made in November of 2023. This was, not too long after October 7th. And all these kind of hatred towards Israel and Zionism and the Jewish people was going on online. A Twitter user who I assume is Jewish posted, "To the cowards hiding behind the anonymity of the internet and posting Hitler was right, you got something to say, why don't you say it to our faces?" They link to an advertisement from the group Stand Up to Jewish Hate. It's basically an ad of a person driving his son who's been posting anti-Semitic stuff to a temple and saying, if you want to say some edgy shit, why don't you go say it to their faces?
I saw what you've been posting. Hitler was right. I didn't teach you that. You hide behind your screen, spewing all this hatred and ugliness. You got something you want to say? Get out of the truck and say it to their faces.
Pretty reasonable tweet, I think. I don't think people should be posting that Hitler was right on the internet, especially when they're not even joking. I mean, a lot of people after October 7th were posting some pretty unhinged stuff. Another Twitter user who goes by the name The Artist, formerly known as Eric, posted a reply to this tweet. He says, quote, "Okay, Jewish communities have been pushing the exact kind of dialectical hatred against whites that they claim to want people to stop using against them. I'm deeply disinterested in giving the tiniest shit now about Western Jewish populations coming to the disturbing realization that those hordes of minorities that support flooding their country don't exactly like them too much. You want the truth said to your face? There it is." Yeah, that's a pretty unhinged anti-Semitic tweet, I would say, basically implying that Jews hate the white race and want to flood the country with minorities to replace them, I'm assuming is what the implication is here. Also saying that he doesn't care that minorities are, being anti-Semitic after October 7th. Just pretty insane. And the fact that he says, yeah, you need truth said to your face in response to a post about people saying Hitler was right. I mean, this is just reeks of just Nazism. It's just very, very horrible tweet. And guess who replies to this tweet? None other than Elon Musk himself. He says, "You have said the actual truth." Yikes. So yeah, that was a pretty bad look for Elon endorsing that very anti-Semitic tweet. So predictably, a lot of advertisers started to pull out of Twitter in response to this. So what do you guys think Elon did in response to this? Let's play a little game. Did Elon A, say, you know what, advertisers, fuck off. People have the right to be anti-Semitic on my platform. It's a free speech platform. If you want to pull out, I don't care. Or did he B, ban several pro-Palestine phrases, restricting the free speech of pro-Palestine accounts in an attempt to get the advertisers back? Now, the answer is B. Less than 2 hours after Elon posted this original anti-Semitic tweet, he went on to Twitter to say that he is banning the phrase decolonization. Twitter user Colin Wright posted on November 15th, quote, "Decolonization is the woke version of jihad, and it should be viewed and treated that way." Elon replied to this tweet stating, yes, decolonization necessarily implies a Jewish genocide. Thus, it is unacceptable to any reasonable person. Elon then went on to clarify, quote, "As I said earlier this week, decolonization, from the river to the sea, and similar euphemisms necessarily imply genocide. Clear calls for extreme violence are against our terms of service and will result in suspension." So he has banned these two phrases, decolonization and from the river to the sea. If you're unfamiliar with the phrase from the river to the sea, or the Palestine will be free from the river to the sea, it's basically implying that the state of Palestine goes all the way from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea, which encompasses the entirety of the state of Israel, basically saying that the state of Israel should cease to exist and that it should all be Palestine in a one-state solution. I don't really like the phrase from the river to the sea. I find it pretty gross and anti-Semitic. It's a phrase used by the terrorist group Hamas.
In the 1960s, the Palestine Liberation Organization demanded the region return to an earlier era, with only Palestine extending from the river to the sea. The PLO later embraced a two-state solution. But then Hamas co-opted the phrase as a murderous plot against Israel. "Palestine is our land and nation from sea to the river, from north to south," said this Hamas leader, "and we cannot cede an inch or any part of it."
I don't really support the use of the term decolonization either, but these are inarguably First Amendment protected phrases. You'll see these at every pro-Palestine rally, from the river to the sea. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. It is not illegal to say from the river to the sea. It is not illegal to say that you support decolonization. These are absolutely First Amendment protected phrases, and this is political speech, mind you, the most protected form of speech under the First Amendment. And Elon just banned it because he desperately wants to get his advertisers back. He needs that bag. Elon went on a whole apology tour after this tweet, going to Auschwitz with Ben Shapiro, desperately trying to get the advertisers back and to kind of fix his image. And his plans failed to get the advertisers back. The advertisers still didn't come back. So he did an interview and he kind of conceded that the tweet was very dumb, but that the advertisers can go fuck themselves. I don't really care if they want to drop out.
But there's a public perception that that was part of a apology tour, if you will. That this had been said online. There was all of the criticism. There was advertisers leaving. We talked to Bob Iger today.
I hope they stop.
You hope?
Don't advertise.
You don't want them to advertise?
No.
What do you mean?
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go f*** yourself.
But
go f*** yourself. Is that clear?
And the right-wing media kind of ran with this, saying, oh man, Elon's so badass. He says the advertisers can go fuck themselves. They leave out the part where he desperately tried to get the advertisers back and restricted people's free speech in order to accomplish such. They only include this part at the end where he said, go fuck yourself, after all his attempts had failed at getting the advertisers back. Another recent Elon debacle that illustrates Elon does care desperately about there being advertisers on Twitter is his handling of Destiny's Twitter account. If you're unfamiliar who Destiny is, he's a political commentator who came to prominence because he was one of the first big Twitch streamers to start talking about politics, start debating politics. And he's grown a pretty sizable audience. He's debated a lot of the biggest right-wing figures, Jordan Peterson, Ben Shapiro, JonTron.
Wealthy blacks also commit more crime than poor whites. That's a fact.
Wait, what? He's a pretty influential figure on the left. Shortly after the attempted assassination of Donald Trump that happened, a few months ago.
Take a look at what happened.
Destiny started posting some pretty edgy tweets about the firefighter that died. For the full context of what went down, back in June of this year, a Twitter user posted a meme with the caption, "Room is completely engulfed in flames. You can only save one." He's got a picture of AOC, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, and Vladimir Putin. The Twitter user says, "I'd save Putin." You? Corey Comparator, the individual who got shot and killed at the Trump rally, said, "Putin 100%. So yeah, pretty cringe post saying that he would save a fascist dictator of a foreign nation over politicians from America that he doesn't like. Especially cringe him being a firefighter, making memes about letting fellow Americans die in a fire because he doesn't like their politics. I'll give Corey the benefit of the doubt here, say maybe he's joking. He wouldn't actually save Putin. He's just being hyperbolic. It's hard to tell what's a joke nowadays with the modern political climate. I mean, there is a lot of unironic Putin supporters out there. Destiny replied to this post by Corey saying, "Is this the fucking retard that got killed at the Trump rally? Fucking Lamau." So yeah, pretty provocative, edgy tweet. I mean, I think it's pretty fair. The post is pretty retarded, in my opinion. A Twitter user named Kay responded to Destiny saying, "This is the hill you want to die on, ? And Destiny quote tweeted this person saying, "Don't you mean the bleachers he wanted to die on?" in reference to the fact that he got shot on the bleachers. Another Twitter user responded to Destiny saying, "Go outside and take walk. Don't bring your phone." Destiny replied saying, "I'm sure Corey and Babbitt are both having fun with each other in hell right now," in reference to Ashley Babbitt, the woman that was shot on January 6th. So yeah, very edgy tweets, very provocative tweets. I mean, I think it's kind of fair, especially when Corey himself was making memes about letting politicians he doesn't like die in fires. I mean, you can't really make edgy memes like that and then get mad when people make memes about you dying. I mean, that's only kind of fair in my opinion. But regardless what you think of these tweets or whether Destiny went too far or whatever, it is Destiny's free speech right to make these jokes. You are allowed to make political jokes. Twitter user Dom Lucra posted a screenshot of all these edgy tweets by Destiny and writes a letter to Elon Musk here saying, "Dear Elon Musk, why are there ads on the OmniLiberal profile?" The OmniLiberal being Destiny's Twitter name. "I believe this page is now in violation of the hate or extremist content and sensitive content section of X standards. This means his account should be permanently suspended from X ads revenue sharing program." Elon Musk then responded to this post saying, "You're right. This is not appropriate content for advertisers." I thought the advertisers could go fuck themselves, Elon. So Destiny's Twitter account was fully demonetized by Elon. Destiny responded to this, trying to point out a bias in the application of the rules. He pointed out a Dave Rubin tweet where Dave Rubin says, "Here's hoping that AOC, Rashida, and Ilhan join Aaron Bushnell in his brave protest." Aaron Bushnell, if you don't know, burned himself to death outside of an Israeli embassy.
Can I help you, sir?
Oh, free pass.
Hey! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Man's on fire! Man's on fire!
And Dave Rubin basically called for AOC, Rashida Tlaib, and Ilhan Omar to kill themselves as well. Destiny tried to point this out, saying, hey, why isn't Dave Rubin being demonetized, but I am? He says, actually, wait, Elon Musk, is this the type of advertiser-friendly content you want on this platform? It's important to remove this type of hateful rhetoric, or at least demonetize it, right? Based on your tweets and the action X took yesterday, I would hope to see Rubin Report removed from advertising platform ASAP. Elon then responded to this tweet saying, it's not me, it's advertisers. Again, I thought the advertisers could go fuck themselves, Elon. What the fuck? There's a few other examples of right-wingers posting just as offensive content that Destiny was posting and not being demonetized. Dave Rubin posted a meme after Paul Pelosi was attacked with a hammer saying, stop. Hammer time. Tim Pool, another big political commentator, posted a pretty edgy tweet after the Club Q shooting, which was a shooting at an LBGT club. He posted, we shouldn't tolerate pedophiles grooming kids. Club Q had a grooming event. How do you prevent the violence and stop the grooming? Basically endorsing a shooting. Tim Pool was not demonetized after these comments. So it seems like there's kind of a two-tiered system going on. Left-wingers get demonetized for edgy tweets, while right-wingers can post as edgy shit as they want, and they will not be demonetized. And that segues into our next topic, which is Elon Musk's blatant partisan hackery. The final point I want to make against Elon here is his blatant partisan bias. He's just a partisan hack. And it's especially egregious because his whole reason in purchasing Twitter was because of partisan hackery. He claims that Twitter was a far-left platform that was censoring people's speech of one side. He is just as, if not more partisan than Jack Dorsey was. The first moment I realized that Elon was just a blatant partisan hack was the release of the Twitter files. One of Elon's big kind of promises when he bought Twitter was, oh, I'm going to be really open and honest about all these things and what Twitter has been censoring. I'm going to, let all the people know what's been going on with Twitter. He gave internal documents from Twitter to various journalists, including Matt Taibbi, who was one of the main people publishing these Twitter files. There's been like 19 various different Twitter files releases, but I want to focus mainly on the first one because I think that was kind of the most integral one, the one that had the most impact. The first Twitter files was written by Taibbi, and it focused mainly on the censorship of the Hunter Biden laptop article by the New York Post. You've probably heard of this story if you followed the 2020 election at all. Basically, Hunter Biden had left one of his laptops at a repair shop, and the New York Post published an article after getting a hold of the contents of this laptop. The article shows an actual email from the laptop from Vadim Pozharsky, who was an advisor with Burisma, the company Hunter Biden was working for. In the email, he mentions giving money to H for the big guy. And the article theorized that H was code for Hunter Biden and the big guy was code for Joe Biden, basically implying that Hunter Biden was giving Joe money from his dealings in Ukraine. It was a whole thing. Twitter ended up banning links to this story on Twitter because they had a hacked materials policy. You aren't allowed to actually show leaked materials. Twitter then changed their mind less than 2 days later. They actually changed the hacked materials policy because there was backlash from conservatives, and they allowed people to link to the story again. Conservatives since then have kind of ran with this narrative that the Hunter Biden story was suppressed and they made it so that nobody knew about the story before the election. I think a lot of these concerns are very overblown. You were still allowed to talk about the Hunter Biden story. If you were on political Twitter at the time, it's all everyone was talking about those few days was the Hunter Biden laptop story. All they banned was actual links to the New York Post article, and they stopped suppressing it after 2 days. I think most conservatives are under this belief that it was like banned for months and nobody knew about this before the election. It was banned for less than 2 days. So while I don't agree with Twitter's policy in banning links to the article, I think it's been a little bit overblown. Conservatives acting like nobody knew about the story because it was censored. Everybody knew about the fucking story. Everyone was talking about the fucking story. So the first big Twitter files release was concerning this Hunter Biden laptop story and Twitter's handling of it at the time. There's a few things in this first Twitter files that I think are just blatantly dishonest and misleading. Taibbi shows a screenshot of the Biden administration asking for certain posts to be taken down. He heavily implies that they're like asking for comments about the Biden laptop to be censored, when if you actually look into it, what they were asking to be taken down were images of Hunter Biden's cock, which is actually illegal. You're not allowed to post, leaked pornography of someone. That's illegal under revenge porn laws. Taibbi just doesn't mention this. He doesn't mention what the Biden administration was trying to take down. He just says, oh yeah, they were taking down posts as if they're censoring free speech, when in reality, they're trying to take down posts that are actually in violation of California law. Taibbi conveniently fails to mention that the Trump White House was actually asking for offensive tweets to be taken down. Trump's White House contacted Twitter in 2019 to have a post by Chrissy Teigen removed where she calls Trump a, quote, pussy-ass bitch. So you have an example of a president actually trying to restrict free speech, and Taibbi just doesn't even mention it at all. It's mentioned in one of the later Twitter files, like number 16 or something, but they only posted about it after a whistleblower leaked it. Very weird that you only mention one president that wanted to have tweets taken down. You don't mention the other. When, the one president was actually trying to have a revenge porn taken down, the other president was having, just mean tweets calling him a bitch taken down. One was an actual attack on free speech, one was not, but you conveniently pick and choose which one to report on based on your partisan bias. Complete partisan hack fuckery, absolutely disgusting. Taibbi mentions very briefly that, the Trump administration had a post taken down, but he doesn't actually go into detail about what that was, because he knows if he actually went into detail about which type of content both parties were trying to censor, you would realize that it's the right trying to censor free speech and not the left. Matt Taibbi actually debated Mehdi Hasan, a CNN pundit, on this, and he got absolutely flamed. He had basically no explanation.
One of the greatest forms of censorship in the media is censorship by omission. You've heard that quote. There's a lot of omission in the Twitter files. A lot you and your colleagues don't tell us. You mentioned in passing, for example, in your very first thread that the Trump White House made requests of Twitter too, i.e. the actual government, not the Biden campaign. But you didn't tell us what those Trump requests were. It took an actual Twitter whistleblower. Well, it took an actual Twitter whistleblower in front of Congress to reveal that Trump once demanded Twitter take down a mean tweet about him from the model Chrissy Teigen. Yet you didn't mention that in any of your Twitter files posts.
Because I didn't have that story. I don't have it.
Doesn't that tell you something? That you had the Biden story and not the Trump story? That Elon Musk was giving you one side of the story?
No, you don't understand. First of all, that first batch of files resulted in the firing of Twitter's general counsel. We were looking at something on a very short time frame, but we didn't have it. I went out of my way to report that fact. I was the first person who reported that Donald Trump made requests and had them honored on Twitter.
But you outlined which ones the Biden team did without giving full context, but you didn't outline which ones the Trump. Well, maybe you should ask yourself why it is you didn't have it.
He tries to defend himself saying, oh, I didn't have the story, but it's like, why didn't you have the story? Did Elon only send you the stuff that made Democrats look bad and not send you the stuff that makes Trump look bad? Just very sus, very cringe, very partisan. Recently, Elon has just gone full unapologetically partisan. He fully endorsed Donald Trump on the day after Donald Trump got shot. He made a tweet saying, I fully endorse Donald Trump, hope for his rapid recovery. He posted Trump Vance 2024, posted a meme of himself doing a dance with Donald Trump, just fully endorsing an election denier rapist to be president. Very cool, Elon. Very cool. I guess Elon endorsing Trump makes sense because Trump is about as anti-free speech as Elon.
If he takes office to these people on the street.
Rarely have we seen anything like this, and I think you should get a 1-year jail sentence if you do anything to desecrate the American flag. Now, people will say, oh, it's unconstitutional. Those are stupid people. Those are stupid people that say that. We have to work in Congress to get a 1-year jail sentence when they're allowed to stomp on the flag and put lighter fluid on the flag and set it afire. And when you're allowed to do that, you get a 1-year jail sentence and you'll never see it again. And all over the world, Putin and President Xi of China, all over the world, they're watching this. Kim Jong-un, he looks at us like we're a bunch of babies. They see that. That wouldn't happen in their countries. It's impossible for that to happen in their country. Where we look so bad to the world. That was a disgraceful display yesterday.
Even putting my dislike of Trump aside, even if you're a die-hard Trump supporter, you should still find this fucking cringe. Again, he literally bought the whole website because of partisan bias, and now he's just blatantly shilling for Donald Trump nonstop. You can go through his Twitter recently. It's literally all he posts. I want you to just imagine for a second. Let's just imagine. It's 2016. The election season is in full swing. And Jack Dorsey posts an image of him hitting the whippin' nay-nay with Hillary Clinton. Or in 2020, he's posted a video of him hitting the stanky leg with Joe Biden. Conservatives would be screaming, pissing their pants, crying about partisan bias. But when their daddy Elon does it, it's cool. He made another post recently in response to one of Kamala Harris's campaign ads about Trump being a dictator on day one. And he posted a AI edit of her wearing Soviet gear, like full-on Joseph Stalin outfit, saying, Kamala vows to be a communist dictator on day one. Can you believe she wears that outfit? I know it's satire, but imagine Jack Dorsey posting an image of Donald Trump wearing Nazi garb. I mean, people would fucking lose their mind. They may not admit it now, but people would absolutely lose their fucking minds. What you realize is that conservatives don't actually care about partisan bias. They just didn't like it when it wasn't favoring them. When the CEO of Twitter is nonstop shilling for the candidate that they like, it's epic and hilarious and epic memes, epic dank, Elon epic. But when the CEO of Twitter was slightly left-leaning, it's censorship, it's horrible, it's cancer, it's Nazi Germany, it's communism. The double standard is just so blatant. It's gay. It's just gay. And there is one more story I want to highlight that illustrates Elon's partisan hackery. This story is very hot off the presses. In fact, I had actually finished filming the entire video and was putting the final touches on the video when this story came out. So that explains why I have a haircut. But this honestly might be the most egregious thing Elon has done with Twitter, the most partisan thing he's ever done. So I feel I had to include it in the video. So what went down? Let me catch you up to speed here. Allegedly, there was an Iranian government hack of the Trump campaign. They obtained a 271-page research document that the Trump campaign created doing research into J.D. Vance. It was a document meant to vet J.D. Vance when Trump was considering him for his VP pick. And the document basically goes into all the potential liabilities and potential benefits should Trump choose to have J.D. Vance as the candidate. And this research document, as well as a similar research document about Marco Rubio, who Trump also was considering as a VP pick at the time, was sent to various news organizations from a AOL email account. A journalist known as Ken Klippenstein decided to release this dossier on his Substack. Klippenstein in his article goes into his reasonings for why he leaked this dossier despite concerns about it being leaked by a foreign adversary. Klippenstein thought that this dossier was newsworthy to release because it highlights a few things that make J.D. Vance look bad. The dossier highlights that J.D. Vance was one of the chief obstructionists against aid to Ukraine. It also mentions that Vance was not supportive of Trump's assassination of Qasem Soleimani. So there's a few things in the dossier that may hurt J.D. Vance's image. Klippenstein thinks that the American people should have the right to see this document and decide for themselves which parts are newsworthy instead of only seeing just paraphrased bits of it. Now, the dossier did include some sensitive information about J.D. Vance, such as his address, his phone number, and part of his social security number. So in response to this dossier leaking, Elon banned all links to this dossier, and he banned Ken Klippenstein from Twitter. Elon explained in a post why he banned this story. He said, quote, "This is one of the most egregious, evil doxing actions we've ever seen. Presidential candidates are not speculatively in danger. There have already been 2 attempts on Donald Trump's life. Moreover, the doxing included detailed information on the addresses of their children." So just to recap what happened, there was a major news story right before an election. It incriminated one of the candidates of the election, and links to the story were banned on Twitter because it was obtained in a hack and contained sensitive information. Now, if you're hearing this story and thinking, That sounds awfully familiar. You'd be right. That's almost exactly what happened with the Hunter Biden laptop story in the 2020 election season. If you recall, in 2020, there was a huge story right before the election about Hunter Biden's laptop that showed some leaked emails. Twitter, under Jack Dorsey at the time, banned links to this article because it contained hacked materials and sensitive information about Hunter Biden. Almost exactly the reasons that Elon is banning this JD Vance dossier. And you'll probably also remember this caused massive outrage from conservatives at the time who were concerned with bias censorship policies on social media. This especially pissed off Elon Musk, who has cited the Hunter Biden laptop story multiple times as one of the reasons why he wanted to buy Twitter, because he wanted to prevent this exact type of partisan censorship. And Elon is now literally doing the exact same thing Jack Dorsey did. Although now it's different because this story incriminates a right-wing figure, whereas the Hunter Biden laptop story incriminated left-wing figures. Elon, of course, only supports free speech when it's supporting politicians that he likes. And if you look a little deeper into this, you'll realize that Elon's censorship of this JD Vance dossier is actually a lot worse than Jack Dorsey's censorship of the Biden laptop story. For one, as I've mentioned before, Jack Dorsey actually unbanned the New York Post story less than 48 hours after the article came out. After there was backlash from the right, he changed the policies pretty fucking quickly. About a day after the New York Post article came out, Jack Dorsey actually changed Twitter's hacked materials policy, which is the policy that got the story banned in the first place. He stated that he would keep the article banned because it contained personal sensitive information about Hunter Biden. But then the following day, he actually just fully unbanned the story, stating that any personal information had already become common knowledge by then because the story had been spread so much that he decided to just unban the story. Elon Musk, on the other hand, might leave the story banned for the entire election cycle. This was one of the main concerns that conservatives had with the censorship of the Biden laptop story is you're censoring this information, the voters can't be informed for the upcoming election.
Senator, yes or no?
Okay.
Did Donald Trump lose the 2020 election?
Let me ask you a question. Is it okay that big technology companies censored the Hunter Biden laptop story, which independent analysis have said cost Donald Trump millions of votes?
Senator Vance, I'm going to ask you again. Did Donald Trump lose the 2020 election?
Did big technology companies censor a story that independent studies have suggested would have cost Trump millions of votes?
Senator
I think that's
Vance,
the question.
I'm going to ask you again. Did Donald Trump lose the 2020
And I've answered
election?
your question with another question.
Senator, would you have certified the election in 2020? Yes or no?
I've said that I would have voted against certification because of the concern that I just raised. I think that when you have technology companies—
The answer is no.
When you have technology companies censoring Americans at a mass scale in a way that, again, independent studies have suggested affect the vote, I think that it's right to protest against that, to criticize that, and that's a totally reasonable thing.
So the answer is no.
And Elon is doing just that. Conservatives who get their news primarily through X will never be able to read this dossier because it is banned. Another reason the censorship of this Vance dossier is much worse than the Hunter Biden laptop story is that the information leaked from the Biden laptop actually contains a lot more sensitive information about Hunter Biden than this dossier contains sensitive information about Vance. Political commentator Ed Krasenstein did a pretty good breakdown on Twitter of the various sensitive information included in the Hunter Biden laptop leaks and the sensitive information included in the Vance dossier. And it's pretty damning. Tens of thousands of Hunter Biden's emails were leaked by Garrett Ziegler on his website Marco Polo, and all of these emails are allowed to be shared on X. Information that was leaked in these emails include Hunter Biden's phone numbers, Hunter Biden's family's phone numbers, Hunter Biden's email addresses, Hunter Biden's iCloud account, Hunter Biden's full bank account number, Hunter Biden's full bank routing number, Hunter Biden's bank records, Hunter Biden's insurance records, Hunter Biden's address, Hunter Biden's VIN numbers of his vehicles, parts of Hunter Biden's kids' bank account numbers, parts of Hunter Biden's passport, parts of Hunter Biden's credit card numbers, parts of his family's credit card numbers, personal text messages with his kids, photos of Hunter Biden's children in bathing suits and bikinis, school photos of Hunter Biden's children, whereas the JD Vance dossier only includes JD Vance's address, his phone number, and parts of his social security number. So leaks containing Hunter Biden's address and phone number is okay, but leaks containing JD Vance's address and phone number is bannable. If that's not just blatant partisan hackery, I don't know what is. So Elon actually did what Jack Dorsey did, but 100 times worse. because he has less reason to actually ban the story, and he's going to ban the story for far longer, likely banning the story past the election. All the conservatives complaining that the Hunter Biden laptop censorship was election interference. How is this not election interference? There seems to be no outrage over censorship of this story because it's incriminating a politician they like. Free speech for me, not for thee. Elon's just kind of a partisan hack.
おはようございます。今日はラーメンを作ります。
Now I want to throw in a little bonus meme in here. There's another really cringe Elon moment that just happened recently. It's not that serious of an offense, but I did want to kind of throw it in at the end here because it is pretty sus. Elon promoted a Tucker Carlson episode recently. Tucker Carlson recently had a guest on his show named Daryl Cooper. This guy's kind of a far-right historian who has some edgy beliefs about World War II, and he went into some kind of Holocaust revisionism type stuff. I'll show you the full clip.
I thought Churchill was the chief villain of the Second World War. Now, he didn't kill the most people. He didn't commit the most atrocities, but I believe, and I think when you really get into it and tell the story right and don't leave anything out, you see that he was primarily responsible for that war becoming what it did, becoming something other than an invasion of Poland.
So first off, he says that Winston Churchill was the villain of World War II. Now, I'm not really a historian, I'm not an expert on World War II, but I feel like there was a bigger villain alive at that time doing some pretty bad stuff. I can't really think of his name right now. In fact, now that I'm thinking about it, I think there was a lot of pretty bad dudes during the World War II era. Churchill wouldn't even be in my top 5.
You know, Germany, look, they put themselves into a position, and Adolf Hitler is chiefly responsible for this, but his whole regime is responsible for it, that when they went into the East in 1941, they launched a war where they were completely unprepared to deal with the millions and millions of prisoners of war, of local political prisoners and so forth that they were going to have to handle. They went in with no plan for that. And they just threw these people into camps, and millions of people ended up dead there. You know, you have like letters as early as July, August 1941 from commandants of these makeshift camps that they're setting up for these millions of people who are surrendering or people they're rounding up. And so it's 2 months after, a month or two after Barbarossa was launched. And they're writing back to the high command in Berlin saying, we can't feed these people. We don't have the food to feed these people. And one of them actually says, rather than wait for them all to slowly starve this winter, wouldn't it be more humane to just finish them off quickly now?
Yikes. So yeah, he tries to kind of imply that the Holocaust was not intentional. He tries to say, oh, well, these people were just rounded up as prisoners. He doesn't go into why they were rounded up. You know, the fact that they specifically went and found Jewish people, retarded people, gays, you know, and rounded these people up to genocide them. He just says, oh yeah, they were rounded up. He tries to act like they were predominantly prisoners of war. I mean, that is true. There were a lot of prisoners of war killed in the Holocaust, but there were also 6 million Jewish people that were not involved in the war. Millions of non-Jews as well that were killed who were not prisoners of war. And he says, you know, they weren't intending to kill them. They just weren't prepared and didn't have enough food, and the people started to starve. They didn't really want that to happen. So they decided they would put them out of their misery instead of having them starve. Just straight up Nazi apologia is what this is. This is just retarded on so many levels. They literally constructed gas chambers with the intent to exterminate millions of people. It wasn't just some kind of accident that happened. Gas chambers are not a particularly painless way to die. It's a pretty rough way to go. Him presenting it as if it's some humane thing to, you know, gas them instead of let them starve to death. No, just absolutely insane shit. Tucker Carlson promoted him after this interview, saying, Daryl Cooper may be the best and most honest popular historian in the United States. This is the most honest historian in the entire United States. Wow. His latest project is the most forbidden of all. trying to understand World War II. So he blatantly just endorses him and his takes about World War II in this tweet. And Elon reposts this tweet agreeing with Tucker, saying, "Very interesting, worth watching." Yikes. Elon deleted this tweet shortly after there was backlash. I guess I'll give Elon the benefit of the doubt and say maybe he didn't watch the full thing. He wasn't paying attention during the Holocaust denial parts. Kind of hard to believe that because Tucker literally mentions the World War II thing in the tweet that Elon is reposting. Yeah, that was just kind of sus. I don't know why Elon just repeatedly is promoting Nazi shit. Very weird, very cringe. Stop doing that. So in conclusion today, Elon does not give a single fuck about freedom of speech. He does care about the advertisers and desperately wants advertiser revenue, and he is a partisan hack cuck. So don't let conservatives tell you that Elon cares about free speech. What they mean when they say that is that the people I like are on Twitter. They don't care if people they don't like are being censored. As long as the people they personally like are on there, that's free speech, I guess. Not really how that works. Anyways, that'll conclude the video today, guys. Elon Musk, if you're watching this, you are a cuck. And peace.
Parteien der Mieter und der Hausbesitzer, Aufwertungsparteien und so weiter. Ich bin stolz darauf, dass sie alle nur einen Feind kennen. Und das sind wir. Und sie wissen, warum sie uns den Feind sehen müssen. Die Bewegung